Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Actors Gym podcast with me, Stephen France. I've invited 2 people that I've had the pleasure of working with over the course of my career, and I'm joined by 2 wonderful ladies that I've worked with. So I'd like to introduce Lauren Garnham.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello. And Helen Potter.
Hello.
Let's begin, shall we?
Let us begin.
Let's start with... Lauren, I'm going to start with you, mate.
Oh, goodness.
Tell me a bit about your story. Where did you start with this world that is the acting industry? I've been Stephen France. Good night.
Goodbye, Stephen. Thank you so much. Goodness, what a question! You've gone straight. Straight into the deep end there.
I've kind of thrown it at you.
That's all right.
With the same question will come to you, Helen.
Brace
but obviously,
yourself.
Yeah, you have.
I have the time to
Yeah,
prepare.
she has the time to prepare.
Honestly, the way you were phrasing that as well, really, it's angling you for let's start from the childhood.
Yeah, let's go right back.
When did the troubles begin?
Well, I have a split personality disorder. I knew I'd always enjoyed it when I was younger, and I remember being at prep school and we were doing a production. I can't remember the name of the production, and I was the lead, and I jumped up onto the stage and barked out the line, but fell over in the process, and literally went arse over tit, flat on my face at age 10 or 11. And everyone laughed, and I jumped up and carried on. And I did not know exactly what that all meant at the time. But for me, I thought, I really enjoyed that afterwards, and that was fine. Then I went off to secondary school, and I just loved it. And it was very much somewhere where I felt completely comfortable. I could be bonkers, no one would mind. I wasn't terribly academic. But, I'm fine. I got a degree. I'm all right.
What's your degree in?
Theatre and performance from
Excellent.
the University of Leeds. Thank you.
Thank you, Leeds.
Thank you, Leeds. And then I did it for A-level, and I remember my drama teacher saying to me, Mrs. Kelly, who was a total babe, and...
Shout out Mrs. Kelly.
Yeah, Alison. What a winner. And
cream.
her husband, Nick Kelly. They were just fantastic. And they were so inspiring and so encouraging that I thought, OK, let's take this to the next level. And I toyed with many ideas of sort of, being a physio. I wanted to go into the forces at one point, the police, and it just something completely sort of not generic, because they're fantastic in their own right, those careers, but performing just seemed more up my street. And I remember Mrs. Kelly saying to me, OK, so you don't want to be a dentist? I said, no. You don't want to be a doctor? Lol, no, not qualified, wouldn't be able to get it.
# 9 years, you'll never get back.
Yeah, exactly. Architect, all these other things. And I just said no. And she said, fine, then you're going to do it. So I said, well, there we are. So...
Oh, so it was like...
She was
like
just
non-negotiable.
Yeah, she
at
just
that
said,
time. She
then
just
you
said,
can
right,
then go for it. Still to this day, I'm very grateful that she did that, because I think it takes a lot of guts to really release yourself into the profession that we're in, because it is so judgmental and exceptionally difficult at every possible turn. So to know someone was in your corner and just said, you can do it, I believe in you, go for it, was really encouraging. And then I went to Leeds Uni, and I studied at Bretton Hall for my first year under the care and guidance of a wonderful lecturer there called George Rodosthenos, who still remains a great friend to this day.
What's her name?
He is just fabulous. As we sort of were going through the motions of uni life and doing various performances there, it then really got stuck in that actually I'm not bad at this, and I really enjoy it. And there's something about it, particularly in the theatre, that you get a kick out of it, and it is so unique, and it's just something that ticks all my boxes, and you can be completely true to you up there. It's very exposing, and I loved that element of it. So I went through that, did 3 years of that, and had a really good time. And then I went off to New York and studied method acting at the Lee Strasberg Theatre and Film Institute, which was life-changing. And I regret leaving New York immensely. That was the time when I was happiest, I think, because everything just made complete sense. And I liked breaking the mould a tiny bit and not going to drama school here, being someone who speaks well, in inverted commas. Everyone thinks, oh, you should be classically trained, or you should go and just do Shakespeare, and that's the pigeonhole you should be in.
Argument, that, isn't it?
And I thought, actually, no, that's not the way I like to work. I'm really not a massive fan of Shakespeare anyway, which is like illegal to say that.
This is where people switch off from the
know.
episode now.
It's
They're just
very
going,
refreshing to hear an actor openly admit that, because it's so fine to not like one playwright's work. And I accept that you don't like Shakespeare. But people would. They would fly off their chair at that one.
I know. And I appreciate it. And I've played Olivia in Twelfth Night, and I've played Emilia in a modern retelling of Othello. And I mean, some of the work is amazing.
Yeah.
But I find the process so stressful. You cannot get a single word wrong. You have got to get that right. The fear of God is so frightening.
Like serving the text.
It really is. But when you see it done right, it's wonderful to watch. But for me, I just don't get any kick. I just don't get a kick out of it, which is a travesty, I know.
No, I edge on that side of agreeing with you with that, because I appreciate the stories that have come from Shakespeare, because they created these constructs of the stories that we associate with modern day writing now, like the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet and all that sort of stuff. But
I also think
it's not my go-to. It's not my go-to.
No, and I also think it's drilled into you at such a young age when you're at school, and when
to be
you're
or not to be.
Is it the question all the time?
Is this a dagger I see before me?
Yeah, no, it's a pencil. But we have to dissect it. You've got to understand what this means, all these other bits and bobs, and that takes the enjoyment out of it, because actually underneath it all, the stories are wonderful.
Yeah.
But you don't get that opportunity at school, I think, unless you have a bloody good English teacher, stroke drama teacher, who will show it to you in that way.
I think it's a massive shame. I think that's a massive fault in the way people approach Shakespeare now as well. Because what you're talking about, that stress around Shakespeare, I think everyone has. I did a Shakespeare at the end of last year. Steve came and watched me.
It was excellent.
Thank you very much.
It was so good. It's like, I'm not just obviously saying
Which
that
one was
like
it?
out of bias.
You know what? I had a total blank then. I couldn't even remember.
Wait, no,
terrible,
but I
isn't
did.
it?
Hamlet, right?
Hamlet. It was Hamlet.
Oh, great!
Wait, the relief of that. I was
God, no.
It was so good in
that time doesn't exist.
I've not even heard of Hamlet. My God, it's one of the small ones.
But and I did enjoy it, but it's. I think and I remember while I was doing it, I was reading Bill Bryson's book on Shakespeare, which is a great book, because it basically destroys a lot of that snobbery around Shakespeare. Because the truth of the matter is, number one, majority of the words probably have been mixed around a bit. And just the idea of what the text was for. I think this whole like the holy text thing, like Shakespeare shows were thrown together, and they were meant to be like, you know, these fun things. He chose actors in the same company all the time that he could trust to like throw on stage and do it. And I think now we don't trust actors to do that. It's, you have to deliver it this way, which I think implies like a lack of faith in an actor's ability to enjoy it and to adjust it according to their audience.
Yeah, it's just archaic, isn't it? In terms of like the
enjoy
approach.
the show, tell the story. Great, make it fun for people. It doesn't have to be a study. You know, language is beautiful, and it's great that we do study at school for the sake of like understanding of language. But actually, once you start studying something like that, you're taking away the whole raw beauty of why it was written in the first place.
Yeah.
It wasn't written to be studied. It was written for like a bunch of people in the stalls to have a laugh and throw rotten fruit.
Yeah.
And I'm up for that.
Yeah.
I'm up for throwing rotten fruit at people.
Oh yeah.
We need to bring this back to the national.
Give me a courgette.
But even if
I
it's
love
good.
courgette.
Do you know what I mean? Rubbish! I throw some at you. Why don't we do it?
We don't need critics anymore. We just need just straight up rotten fruit.
Yeah.
Did either of you see Midsummer Night's Dream at the Bridge Theatre with Gwendolyn Christie, etc.?
Oh, she was in Game of Thrones. Right?
Yes, which I've never seen. I know, I'm the the only person in Britain
That's when
who's
we have
not
to.
seen
We
it.
have to end the episode
Okay.
because you need to go and watch all.
Oh, fine. I'll go now.
Wait, I was going to say all 5 seasons, but I think there's 6.
Are there 8?
So
Isn't there 8?
There's loads.
I don't
I
know.
don't know it then.
But,
I got to season 5, episode 5.
More people switching off. We've lost the Shakespeare. We've lost the Die-Hard game.
When are we
Sorry,
getting
Stephen.
yeah, I was going to say,
Shall
when
we
are
start again?
when are we getting an audition at the Globe now?
Well, I definitely won't be. That show, Midsummer Night's Dream, was fantastic. It was so much fun, completely out there, bonkers. Everyone was living their best life. It was in the round. Everyone was involved. I loved it.
Yeah.
Completely, that's what it, like
That's
you just
what it
said.
should be.
That's what it should be
Yeah.
like.
Well, I think what you were saying about when you did Hamlet, and this is not me being biased, but I thought you were excellent in it for one.
Thank you.
But 2, there were so many extraneous factors where, as an audience member, we were sitting in a square, weren't we? We were sitting in
it was. It was
like a flat apartment complex. There was Deliveroo drivers like that while you're articulating in the middle of this, this cobbled private square. Yeah, you had so many things that could go against you. Cold, absolutely freezing. The lighting wise, you had little to no lighting, so the actors actually had torches.
Yeah.
So every
Fantastic.
time that they'd appear on stage, like they'd shine the torch towards them as to.
And this was in 2020?
This
Yeah,
was,
so it was
this
in
is why,
2020.
because
That's
this was a show
amazing.
done in that, it was done in that sort of interim between Lockdown 1 and Lockdown the sequel,
Right.
Where things were like lifted.
I've never heard of it.
Love
I know,
Part
that's
Two.
the film no one ever wanted, but it did come. Where things were sort of lifted enough that we could do a show, but it was also, we were doing it on our own terms, just with whatever circumstances we could. So originally it was meant to be on the beach at Rotherhithe, which I didn't know existed, but there's a beach there.
Neither did I until
It's nice. I would recommend going. Imagine if this podcast hits the roof and suddenly thousands flood.
No one comes to my
this
class.
tiny
It's just Rotherhithe.
just Rotherhithe
And
beach
you'll become
swarming.
the babe on the advert for Rotherhithe.
The babe
Here's
of
Helen
Rotherhithe
Potter.
Beach. Hello.
Top 5 tips for Rotherhithe.
It's the role I always
Wonderful.
wanted. So originally we were doing it on this rough sandy beach on a slant with the
Wow.
waves. It was fantastic. It was great. And we actually got busted by the Thames. I can't remember what they're called, but I'm going to call them
The river
the river brigade
you there.
or something. Not joking.
The pH level of this river is absolutely insane,
This is
thanks
what
to your
they said.
performance.
They said it's a public beach. Anyone can go down there, but they said you can't encourage people, and obviously that's why by holding a show there we were encouraging people to come onto the beach. So we said, okay, we'll put all
You
the people on the
pagans.
beach wall. We sat them all on the wall that night in the show. A mysterious boat comes along Thames
Do you know what? But when we speak about extraneous variables, you having to deal with a boat just
with the
coming
full
past when you're in the
floodlights,
midst of a performance.
and they went past
no.
and stopped. They stopped just watching the show, and we knew we were in for it. Luckily, I was fully expecting someone with a megaphone to come out on deck and say "off the beach" or something like that.
They just looked at 6 actors with torches in their faces going, what's the problem? I don't see the issue here.
So that was the last night we did it on the beach, and then we moved it into the location that Steve saw it on, which was just this tiny little park, sort of half walled in park area next to the beach and outside the flat the director lived in, which was great.
Wow.
So it was a public park. There were times where people who were maybe not so sound of mind just strolled through the production.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we had all sorts. We had a very inebriated woman once come on at the end and give a speech. It was fantastic. It was great because I just love that. We do put these strict rules around theatre, and I love the idea of even things they have relaxed performances now, so that people with autism,
Such
or
a great idea,
whatever, so
that.
they can make noise. But I honestly think a really good production is one where anybody feels actually they can respond in the way that they want to. So if you want to cry, but if you find something, people sort of get a bit oh, that was a bit loud.
Straight, yeah. Someone has to break the back of it, don't they? When it
Yeah, and
comes
it shouldn't
to
be like
feeling
that.
okay to laugh or
I mean,
even
I'm
smirk at
terrible.
something.
I've been in the cinema before watching a scary film, which by rights I think you should be allowed to make a big hoo-ha because you're in a cinema watching a scary film. But I have this awful like instantaneous response to shock where I make sort of a hooting noise, like somewhere half between an elderly woman and an owl, and it's an instant response. I can't control it. It's terrible. I've tried to stop. I can't. It's an addiction. It's like heroin. And then so I'm in a cinema and I'm watching a film, and I will, even on my own, and I will go and watch scary films on my own in the cinema because I don't know.
So brave.
I'm a psychopath.
Yeah.
No.
Not for me, but go on.
I've honestly many times in the cinema I've been like, ah, you know, and don't want to blow the ears off the sound guy, so I'm holding the owl, but the inner owl, as it were, turn the head 360.
360. If that happened now, I'd literally be like, right, okay, we've got to stop this.
So,
we have to.
We saw Helen's inner owl's head.
We're calling it a day.
And I heard like a couple behind me, the girl lean over and go, say something to her. Just say something. She's making so much noise. God. And I was like, you're in a cinema watching I didn't actually say this. It's stand up and for goodness sake, everyone. But I did think that, you know, come on.
Well, if you're allowed to laugh, you know.
Come on.
I know.
Come on. You know, have
And it
some
does
fun.
break the ice a bit. I've screamed in the cinema watching something. I've screamed in the theatre watching The Woman in Black. Oh my God. Nightmares.
I really like the idea that it was just in the intro though. Like nothing scary was happening. It was just Daniel Radcliffe came on in a jumper and you went, oh my God.
The play. I'm talking about the play. Bloody hell! It is
that is,
petrifying.
Yeah, the play
that
is excellent.
automated
fantastic.
rocking chair.
That is a horrible rocking chair.
It's
it is
it's
vile.
the woman that when she walks through the middle.
Oh,
No,
horrendous.
don't like that. Horrible.
Yeah, no, but
Yuck.
I found myself when I was watching it, I'd like trying to appease her. I was like,
Try and keep her on side. I'll be the one that changes
This is a
her.
great way to start, isn't it? Like that. That's how
you're
it
going
felt
into
for
a
me.
relationship with the woman in black with the idea of changing her. Like
I think I would though.
I'm the
I
one
would.
that's going to make
I
her
think
turn
I think I'd give it a go.
You just get to a
See.
magic
Yeah,
recorder.
yeah.
Here we
if
go.
If she came up on my Tinder, I'd swipe right.
What's under the cloak?
Yeah.
What's under the
The
cloak?
mystery.
There
That's
could be
the
a
whole
real
point.
bod under there. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The woman
I
in
was on a
black.
I was on a school trip seeing that, and I was
Yeah,
sitting
it's-
next to my
that's it.
RS teacher because I always seem to be the one. I'll be like, oh, you can cope with the teachers. You sit next to him. He was called Mr. Judd, and I screamed my lungs out when I can't remember the name of the bloke who goes to open the door,
Yeah.
and as he puts his hand on the door, there's nothing, and then he goes, oh, he's relaxed because earlier on in the show he's put his hand on it and she screamed.
Yeah.
Nothing in this first one. Goes again, screams, wah! Sorry, Kelsey, screamed my head off and
Wait.
grabbed-
Can we just
Oh, yes.
can we just
Sorry.
pause there?
Yeah, pause.
Kelsey, who's in charge of the
Yeah.
sound. On this podcast.
This is quite
on the- on
Women in
this-
Black,
on the-
what's
yeah.
about to happen
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well,
on this
actually.
podcast
This is
that
very
we're doing
appropriate.
is really going the
I am.
extra mile. And he's behind the sofa where Helen and Lauren are sitting. Kelsey, thank you so much, mate.
Sorry, yeah, definitely you.
But it's it's going to sound great. It's going to sound crisp. Helen, mate, when did you start? What was your opening foray into?
Well, you know what? It's just a classic, isn't it? I was like a really weird, socially awkward child. And I got bullied intensely in primary school because I was just probably the most annoying little precocious, nervous, withering ferret or something. So the other kids just sort of hated me. And that's fair enough, you know. I don't hold that against them now. Kids. But, I just had a terrible time, and I remember getting cast in this show in year 6. Up until that role, I think I'd always been given the role of like the town mayor or a snowflake, and I just remember having this opportunity to be someone that wasn't me. I think so many people that get into acting, it starts sort of as that, which sounds really depressing, but it's not.
No,
it's
it's
like,
a huge attraction to.
it's jumping
to
into
it.
the world of the imagination, and I always loved. I'm a big imaginer. Everything is very visual for me. I mean, even as we talk now, everything we talk, I see. I really like the world of stories and like bringing things to life. And I just remember it being this breakthrough where, you know, I'd been so quiet, having this opportunity to talk and like, you know, pretend I was someone else. And I was really good at it because yeah, it was the world of play. I love play. And then, yeah, I did secondary school and, you know, fine. And sort of carried it on outside of school doing bits and bobs. And then I decided I was going to go down the drama school route and went through a couple of brutal years of just like not getting in and living at home with my parents and commuting.
Yeah, and having to pay for auditions.
Oh, dreadful! It is awful
crazy.
how much they charge.
It is crazy, that stuff.
Yeah, because you're asking basically teenagers to try and find that money, and that's a really it's a weird experience. I think generally drama school auditions are horrendous because number one, you're doing monologues, which PS as an actor you never do. I've never done since. You know, maybe a bit of a monologue in a show, but it's such a weird thing to be like, here you go, stand on a spot, deliver a speech out of context. Like, I think it's a much better judge of how good you are at listening and responding to other people. And I saw people whip out speeches, the tears were coming, and then actually later on you try and act with them, and they were a nightmare because it was all about me, it's all about my show, and I'm not listening.
Yeah. So would you say two-handers are something?
You know what? If I was gonna open up the discussion here for how we're gonna change the audition system for drama schools, maybe.
Yeah, go.
Maybe that's
shoot.
Maybe that's somewhere we could. Yeah, I think they should do a lot more of like people talk. I mean,
sorry, I'm just making notes in my own workshop because
when we start the academy. But yeah,
we'll switch that up.
It's one of those things. It's a useful skill to have definitely now, but I think when you're that age and you haven't had the training yet, the whole point of going into drama school is that you've got the talent, but you haven't got the application yet. There's lots of weird things you have as a teenager and in your early 20s that you're clinging on to that you basically have to shed. And when you first go in for that process, you're not there. I definitely wasn't there. And it took me 3 years of auditioning to get into drama school. And then I went to East 15, which was great because it's a bit more of a modern drama school, and
yeah.
I know
a few people that went there.
Yeah, it's really nice, really hands-on, and I did acting and contemporary theatre because I'm a musician as well, and I do writing as well, and it was a course where, like, the first year, we were with the acting students, we all did the initial training, because E15 is famously very method, so I hear your method calling there. We did a lot of in-depth sort of improv and method stuff, all mad things. It's right next to Epping Forest, so all sorts of weird shit goes on in those woods.
Sorry to interject at this point. Terms of method, say if someone's watching this that has absolutely no clue what we're talking about in terms of what method acting is. It's essentially you're fully embodying a character based on maybe physicality, looks, growing out your hair. It's a very general term method. I think it's used kind of like a bit wankingly off the hand.
I agree.
But I guess the general idea of method is it's exercises that involve putting yourself in situations where you believe the premise is real, which is a weird thing to say because I do believe sort of all acting is that when you're in the moment, in a play, I think you should believe that you are that person, that the situation is real to an extent. But method is all about the exercises around that when you're building the character, like lots of things like doing improvisations with other people where you're maybe reconstructing memories of a character, of situations that have happened in the past, or trying to install emotional memory of things that haven't happened to you. I mean, it's bizarre when you talk about it. Acting's a weird thing.
It's
bonkers,
also
isn't
it is
when
also
the way you just articulated that, I'm just like,
it's
my God,
it's weird that we do it.
We're trying to do it for a living.
Method acting is also bringing the truth of your own life into the character.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for example, you have a scenario. So somebody, actually, I don't want to use this example because that's all a bit raw for all three of us actually sitting here. But maybe I will. Let's not cry. Someone you know has died who is very close to you, but you have not experienced that yourself, or you need to summon those feelings up and bring them out and bring them into it because that's the emotional truth of what you're trying to express. Then the challenge you then have is if you have not experienced that, is remembering a time where you have felt completely bereft of things of life and trying to recall that and bring that up. And by summoning those things back up into your brain, this is where it gets very sticky because you've buried those feelings for a long time or then they're not as accessible as you would hope they would be. Yeah. So summoning those things up brings a hell of a lot with it, and you have to be able to control yourself in a way that doesn't damage you, because that's what happens to a lot of people, is they go completely overboard and take it further than it needs to be in that wanky element that you were just saying about. And actually it can be perfectly simple.
Yeah, I fully agree in terms of there must be a method. Ooh, excuse. There must be a way of being able to access that.
There is,
and then just leaving it without fully giving a piece of yourself
I
away to that thing, because after you finish after you finish said role, said part, said performance, it's like you then have you owe it to yourself to look after you, because that thought or that initial part of that performance, like you're left with that. Then you're left in that mind state and that mind frame. So there should be a way, and obviously
there is.
navigating through that, and then
There
obviously
is.
being able to bring it back.
And I think it's actually a very personal thing, it's
for sure.
It's not something that I cannot cope with group warm-up activities. I find
Oh my God.
I find some of that really, really stressful.
No, not for me.
I think I completely agree. In many ways, acting is a team sport, as it were. You have to listen. You've got to be able to engage, and you've got to be on the ball in case something goes wrong at any point, which is what is so joyful about it, because the danger element is always present. I know you and I had some wonderful moments recently with all of that.
We'll get into that. For sure.
But
the job. We did a
job.
job in Austria.
Not crime.
Not crime.
But
not Bonnie and Clyde. Not yet.
That would be great. Oh, tune.
Let's shut that down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Where was I? What was I rambling on about?
Group.
Thank you.
Warm-ups.
Yes.
Group warm-ups. Because I want to touch on this as well, because about the job that
Yeah.
me and you did,
Yes.
and the audition process of that.
That was beyond.
I don't mind talking about this.
It is a very, I think it's a very personal thing, and getting into the zone is a very personal thing, and equally as it's coming out of it.
Yeah.
And the coming out bit is crucial, and making sure it is working for you, and you are able to say, right, when I enter this room, this is when I start to build the layers up of what I want to achieve in an hour's time, and that then I need to maintain that journey in the hour. But when I leave the room, I leave that person in there, and you sort of give yourself time walking down the stairs, walking to the door to go out of stage door, and in that time you need to come back out into yourself, so you don't take it home, because that is just it's very dangerous. And until you learn your own way of doing that, I think you have to just be very aware.
Yeah, I'm very physical in a sense that I do my best to just shake it off straight off.
And
music's a huge one for me. Music will psych me into something, but then on the other side, I'll put on just chill, maybe like, this is going to sound artsy, but I'll put on like classical music.
Don't.
Or I'll put on,
I love classical music.
Or I'll put on, I generally put on some rap and hip hop. This is where people switch off.
Steve's pretty down with it.
But something that I can recite the lyrics to. Because then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm
whatever works for you.
I am Marshall Mathers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's what you need to tell yourself to get through the day.
I wake up every morning and go, morning, Marshall.
That's me. Yeah.
Well, the real Slim Shady, please.
Arise.
Good Lord.
What was I going to say? Yeah, group. I'm exactly the same.
Exercises.
I'm sure there's many people, hopefully, who are watching or listening can relate to this. That fucking thing of like being in a group, being with a group of actors, and like you can almost like cop a look at people and just go, you don't want to do this as much as I don't want to do this, but we're going to pretend to be a duck anyway.
Oh, don't,
do you know what I mean?
Don't. It's the, you know what, I'm 50-50 on this, because there's some things, I think especially because, I work a lot more generally in comedy, different world, love a group warm-up in comedy, because it's all about like playing games and getting yourself in the spirit and making the team atmosphere, I think, even stronger for comedy, because you've got to be able to fall back on people like that and creating that woo. But it's the can we just quote that? Creating that woo.
Creating that woo.
Yeah, there you go. There's your tagline. And it's the like the what people imagine I mean when I say contemporary theatre. It's tell you what, sum it up. I remember one of my back in time drama school auditions for Central, and it was Central do this thing where they audition you for like all 3 of their courses at the same time, whether you want to or not, and they have
Well, you just get no choice in the matter.
no, you have to do like a bit of the acting one and a bit of the contemporary theatre one and a bit of the music one, which is alright, fine. They give you a whole day, which is nicer than like RADA, who are like, come in 10 minutes, £80, and then poof to the street.
That's Shakespeare as well.
That's
You do a Shakespeare piece, and I remember doing something from the Glass Menagerie, and I swear to God, my eyeline was all over the gaff.
all over the gap.
It was the one that was how does it start?
I don't know.
I can't remember. It's the one that he's saying to his dad that he just wants to escape. He wants to get out of the social normality of mediocrity, and he's literally just like. But I just remember my eyeline being all over the place. The moment I started, I was literally like, I felt like one eye like divert over there, and I was just like,
No.
I'm not going to hear from these people.
No, you know it. You know it.
Yeah, I'm very quick to write myself off like that. That's another discussion for another time. Maybe with my therapist.
Well, so I was in this audition, right, and this is absolutely no shade on Central as a school. I know loads of really great performers that come out of it, and all the courses. I think their contemporary theatre course there is actually really solid. But the audition for it is madness. I was in a room, and obviously you prepare a couple of speeches, don't you? And it was the classic "let's all walk around the room," which every actor inside their heart just sinks, because as soon as you're move around the space, you're like, here it comes. Here come the series of directions that make no sense. And it was right, you're gonna, start, take a pause, think about one of your lines from your Shakespeare speech, move on. Okay, all right, we're doing some Shakespeare lines, fine. And then it was, okay, we're gonna start getting into the mood of a piece of paper.
Pardon?
A piece of paper. A piece of paper.
Did anyone go?
Or just...
Thank you.
And then it's a little snigger from the sofa. And it was the moment where this was the real, just the cherry on the cake, was we had to stop in a place in the room, and each of us were given a different percentage of paper to deliver a line from the speech.
No.
So you'd choose your line, and then the woman would come up and go, 40% paper. And then someone else, 70% paper. How do you convey
recycled
paper in speech?
Yeah.
And
I've got. Can I give it a go?
Please,
Sure.
please. Yeah.
You're right. That's the best. I was, like paper caught in wind.
Oh, that's what it was. That was that. I think it's a bit wet. I think it's a bit wet for paper. I think it'd be
anyone
more
else
like,
using this
say
mic?
the line is,
no.
okay, that's not my plastic bag. It's a classic Shakespeare line. I love that line. I think it's more of like a, that's not my plastic bag. Like if a piece of paper spoke to you, I think they'd be like, because it's
and
almost...
this is the exact acting techniques that you're going to get from the actors' gym.
But
be more paper.
you have to imagine the paper's been there
is
the whole
on paper.
time.
The first
How
workshop
long?
is one of these.
There you go. How long
Yeah.
has that been in the room trying to communicate, and you haven't heard it?
Dear
Okay.
God.
And one day they finally engaged the diagram. Okay, we get the voice technique in there for free. They
Wow.
finally engaged, and they've just loud enough for you to pick it up, and it's, hey, I've been watching you for years. Just.
It's absolutely mind-boggling to me.
And that's what the audition was. Anyway, I didn't get in.
I'm glad you didn't. Your life of paper. My God.
But ironically enough, I ended up doing loads of clowning work onwards in my life and in my training. So you know what? If I could have taken it the direction at that age, I think I would have had a lot of fun. But you'd have to take it so seriously, don't you?
Yeah.
But now you see, I'd take something like that and I'd be like, here's the fun. Where are the games in this? If someone told me to be paper now, I wouldn't be some young, 20-year-old desperate to do it right.
Sure,
to
yeah,
take it
I'll do anything you
seriously.
say.
I'd be there going, here we go. I'd drop to the floor and I'd slide along like a baby on greaseproof paper and just fuck with it.
Yeah, for
Just-
sure. I was going to say, that's a really interesting thing that you just brought up. because it's a question that I have written down on a piece of paper. But it'd be interesting to know your opinions. But in terms of what it's going to be like walking back into an audition room when this is all over. Because I've had this conversation numerous times. I've had it with friends. I've had it with family. I would walk into an audition room and I'd be like, it's almost like you're, hey, yeah, how's it going? Yeah, you're right. Love to meet you. Eye contact, firm handshake. Oh, right, cool. I'm going to sing Empty Chairs at Empty Tables. There's a group that can't be spoken, and that's one of my only things in my reps. So if you want to cast me in Blameless, that'd be
Cut
great.
it. Cut it now, Stephen.
Yeah, clip that. Cheers, Freddie, mate.
That's a disaster.
But what I'm getting at is, before I'd walk into an audition room and have that sort of energy bubbling along. Then casting directors, which obviously, you know, they have a difficult job because they see hundreds of thousands of people all the time. And with self-taping now, it's even more prevalent. Like, there's, you know, so many tapes to get through as well.
Yeah.
I remember reading an excerpt once of a casting director that won't be named, or someone who was a casting assistant. They were literally doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo with people that they'd see. Something like that. I don't quote me on that, but I remember something like that.
From our perspective, though, isn't it? Of just like...
Imagine your life being dictated on an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But...
Yeah.
Do you think the landscape, or like the influence that an actor has walking into a room now, is somewhat a little bit more empowering? Because for me, I know the next time I walk into a room and someone goes, "Hey, how are you?" I'll be like, "Not great. I'm alive. I'm breathing, but I've got no money.
Yeah.
I'm
here.
I'm honoured that I'm here to perform for you and blah blah blah. I'm going to leave whatever it is that I leave in the room, and I'll leave it up to the gods type thing." I just don't think. I think. This all sounds really pessimistic, but also I think on the flip side, it's going to be like really empowering for people.
Yeah.
In terms of, you're going to see like a real, you're going to see a lot of people who are hungry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we're all sitting here like chomping at the bit, ready for like the next project or something to get into. But I think you're gonna see like a bunch of people just sort of being like, yeah, cool, I'm here, I'm going to do this performance. Will, you know, getting feedback from your agent where they say, we've chosen to go in another direction, cut it anymore? I don't think it will. I think people have to be sort of like, there has to be some sort of like honesty and authenticity now in terms of...
I'd like to think so.
You'd like...
I think
it's something that I want to try and instill in people, like eventually once I get my workshop up and running anyway.
You have to have the ability to read the room the second you walk in.
Yeah.
And you literally have...
That's an art in itself.
It is. You literally have a second, if that, to go, right, okay, 3, 2, 1, here I am. And you've just got to go for it. And I've had a couple of situations where I've gone in and the slot was for 20 minutes and I was in there for an hour and a half because we were having such a nice time. This was for a pantomime.
I was worried that was going the other way there when you said that. I was like, oh my God. They pinned me to the chair.
And I had to prepare 2 songs and I was going up for this pantomime, which I didn't get. I love panto. I think it is joyful. But if anyone was going to cast me in a pantomime, I am the villain. I am not the fairy, which is what I went up for.
Oh no!
So I arrive.
Hello,
and this was a long time ago, and for a very reputable company. And I walked in, and hello, and they're all, oh hello, and they were sort of all chatting away. And he said, well, what songs have you got? And I'd got Forget You by CeeLo Green, because all the pantos I go to is never original works. Yeah. It's always pop songs. And I had a couple of other pop songs up my sleeve as well. And so I sang a couple, Don't Stop Believing, obviously.
Oh, great.
One of those. And singing away, and then they went, oh, that was really lovely. Would you like a cup of tea? And I was, oh, yes, I would.
That's fab.
And
there's
awesome. 3 people in there.
No.
Here, have some sweets. I said, oh, thank you. So I'm having some chocolate, and we were just having a chat, and then they said, okay, would you like to give the text a go? And I said, sure. Fairy, fairy godmother, burning light, and they said, you're talking to your cat, the cat's floating in the air. I was like, fantastic. There's lots of fire and, coming up from, coming up from here and there. And we just went for it. And afterwards we finished, and he went, you are the only person who's made total sense of that text. And I said, well, thank you. And he said, but you're a villain. And I said, I am. Because I'm not sugar candy fairy godmother. I'm not. I never have been.
That should be your bio, like on Twitter when we put that, or Insta when the handles are done.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
And
I am not sugar.
And I walked out of there. I am not sugar. I walked out of there and I rang my agent and I said, I really enjoyed that. I said, but they're not going to give it to me. And she says, what do you mean? And I said, I was in there for an hour and a half. And she said, that's amazing. Of course they will. And I said, no, they're not going to, because we agreed it was a unanimous decision. I am the villain. And she went, okay, fine. Well done. And I said, well, I really enjoyed it, so I didn't mind.
I can share a story of a audition that I had for a cracker commercial.
The commercial ones are the
Tuck
best.
biscuits.
For Tuck biscuits.
Oh,
yeah.
Love Tuck biscuits.
And my agent sat me down. He didn't sit me down. He sat me down with Steve.
Like on his lap, like Santa.
Stephen, you've got to eat 1,000 Tuck biscuits.
What would you like for Christmas, Stephen? Come on.
I got to the venue and they said that there'll be some movement involved. Now, I don't mind that. I'll throw myself into anything, whatever the job is. Like, sure, I'll be Mr. Blobby's right-hand man.
Classic movement role.
Why have I gone 90s? How old am I?
Where's Noel Edmonds when you need him?
God, where is he? 1p. So I sat down. I sat in the waiting room, and I can then hear like what's going on, like in terms of like the commotion in the room. It's everyone's fine, like having a laugh, and suddenly out of nowhere, Jessie J featuring Nicki Minaj, Ariana Grande. It comes on. Bang Bang.
Right.
What a tune.
And obviously, I was given like in my email that there'll be a little bit of dancing movement with a song.
No.
And the moment I heard bang bang into the room, I was literally like, I felt my guts drop, and then suddenly like my midriff, like I'm sweating.
Instant diarrhea. Just
bang. Bang. And I was there just like, oh, I don't know what they're going to get me to do. Anyway, so other guy comes out, he's like, yeah, thanks, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, okay, cool, see you later, all right, bye. And then, Stephen, like that, I was, sure.
Oh, no. Bang, bang, into the room.
And I'm like, hi guys, panel of 10.
No!
Crumbs! All for a biscuit!
Yeah, all for a cracker! Hadn't drunk any water,
No.
even though like the filler was outside.
And it's always hot and dry.
Yeah,
always
I'm
hot
at this
and
point,
dry.
I'm clammy as.
cup.
I've got sweat under the eyeballs at this point.
Oh my God.
I'm like, hi guys, how you going? No response.
No. Not even a
No,
hello.
Just a wait, I'll try and do it to this camera. It's just like,
Oh my God,
One of
a
those.
tumbleweed
It's like,
crosses the room.
do you know what I mean?
You can hear a baby crying a mile away.
Yeah, it was just really difficult.
That's
and
death.
I remember just going in and obviously you stand on the marker, name, agent, profiles, and they went, right, okay, so the premise is if you could just sit on that chair, you're sitting at a bus stop and you're eating crackers. Weird anyway. That's not my snack of choice.
At a bus stop.
If I'm waiting idle anyway, that's not my go-to. And you eat this cracker, and then suddenly there's a flash mob, which includes Jessie J, who's leading the parade,
No,
and
it
the
doesn't.
music comes on.
She's not.
And we'll turn on the music, and you're following behind. From there, the floor's yours.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I was like, yo, what
Wow.
the fuck is going to happen here? So I just remember just sitting in the chair and then just like, she got a body like that, like that. And I literally just joined this crowd and I'm just there going, bang, bang. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel myself red. I'm getting hotter. It's crazy. And
Brilliant.
And everyone on the panel again. The song finished. Bear in mind, it's about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
The whole
That
song.
felt like an eternity.
You're
Yeah.
joking.
Did you
Yeah.
do
The
you
whole
had to do
song.
a whole song?
Yeah, because I'm following this flash mob around, and then like I'm running up to an imaginary Jessie J and giving her a high five and all that. And I've got cracker in my mouth.
Oh my
Actual
God.
cracker. Did you actually have to eat a bit of cracker?
Yeah, you had to eat a bit of cracker.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's
so
at least
this-
positive.
Like you just have like
This is a
you just
lot.
have a smidge of cracker.
Oh.
And
And it's in the molar. Like you haven't got
Oh,
time to
yeah,
get in
forget
there
it,
with
forget
a
it. Yeah.
toothpick. It's in
yeah,
there.
yeah, I'm not flossing.
You're
I'm
miming
definitely not
Jessie J.
flossing. Jesus Christ, I'm definitely not doing that.
Oh
And
Lord.
they were like, okay, yeah, that was great. Bearing in mind, I'm sweating. I'm like, I need to get out of here. They went, okay, second time, you're going to be at the bus stop, eat a cracker, and almost like be possessed by the flash mob.
Oh.
So I was like, what is this? The
Yeah.
exorcism of Emily Rose? Like, I'm gonna eat a tut tut cracker, or whatever, and then just went.
Eat a tongue.
It's not a tut tut cracker. That's
Tut-tut
transportation.
into the room.
Wait, that's transportation in Asia.
Yeah,
Isn't
but in
it?
London
Tut-tut.
too, Steve. Come on.
Anyway,
the times.
wait. I hate it. So
You're falling down a hole.
yeah. And then I ate it again, and they let the first segment of this first part of the song just sort of like be muted, but then when it got to the bang bang,
Oh no.
they wanted me to get possessed on that point.
Oh,
So I literally
no.
went with the song and just went. I'm just doing this mad
natural
movement. I don't know what I'm doing, and
Oh wow.
well, I finished that, and I'm sweating, and like, really uncomfortable. Needed a poo, and but I remember still making light of it, and I looked at all 10 of the panel, and I was just basically like, "You've all had a good time here, haven't you? You've all had a good time." Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Oh come on.
And it was just like a. You'd hope like the attitude of people would somewhat change, especially at this time where the industry feels like it's been forgotten about.
It does.
Yeah.
I hope people would be a bit more sympathetic to what's been going on, because it does seem like that online, on Twitter, for example. If I see that some casting directors and some casting assistants are very are more encouraging than they would normally be, I suppose.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But I don't know. I think there would be a joyful celebration when we are able to do things like go back into a room and audition and things like that. And
Overwhelming.
and I really hope that there is a more speak English, Lauren. God, that there is an appreciation for that, because it is a big deal to get into the room for anything, to be fair, because the competition is always so high.
Yeah.
There are so many people who are similar to your casting, though, you know, one thing you always must remember is that there is no one who's the same as you. And you've got to remember
that's
that.
really important.
I needed that. I treasure that.
But seriously,
is.
because
You've got to give yourself flowers.
Yeah, you do.
Give
And
yourself flowers.
give yourself
Give
flowers.
yourself flowers.
Welcome to
Give yourself
Stephen's Corner.
flowers.
Give yourself flowers.
Come
it could
on.
be any flower
Any flower.
you wish.
Money's not everything, Stephen. Money's not everything.
That's
Yeah.
also an important. Money's
Money's
not
not
everything.
everything.
Which is why I'm doing my workshop for free.
Yeah, you
People
are.
are coming for free.
Come on down.
I don't resent that either. I was thinking
I
about
think
this
that's
because
wonderful.
it's another subject that I wanted to get onto. It's over £150 for Spotlight.
Yep.
If you want a show reel, it's like £600.
God.
A good one,
Yep.
like it's over like £500-600.
Yeah.
Headshots, you're looking at
Equity.
equity. If you live in London, it's rent. So I mean, I was about to say £500, but that's like
That's
you'd be
optimistic.
living. It's like
Yes.
it's like 700-800. You are, not to mention like a flat deposit or anything like that. You're about £3,000 down before you even thought about setting foot into an audition room. When I started, I joined a part-time theatre school who my mum didn't have much money to send me there, and he said he can come for free. Like it costs nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was trying to like figure out or delve into what can I do sort of creatively or from a creative standpoint and collaborate with people. And it started from a point where I was like, oh, I want to do this for free. And I want to give that opportunity to people who don't necessarily have the means or the confidence to think that, oh, I'm going to invest X amount of money into myself and then try and see if I can act.
Yeah. You're
Pick up
tapping
a
a massive, like, that's a
I
massive...
hope so.
I think, and the issue you're branching into there is a big one. And I
Oh, it's
think,
huge.
you know,
I mean, how far down the rabbit hole can
exactly. Like, I think
Without having a nervous
at this level, hold it together. But, you know, at this level, you're offering a workshop for free, and that's, you know, it's wonderful, it's fantastic. I wish more people ask themselves the question, like, is there a way I can do this? Like, do I have to make a profit? Because I feel like once there's a certain level, like theatre is so inaccessible, and I just feel like even the entry level of theatre, like, you know, when you look at diversity in people going to drama schools and stuff, like people seem to be baffled about this question of like why there are problems. But, you know, even when we were talking about how much drama school auditions cost, you're looking at the only people who are going to audition for drama school are the people that are at least in a situation where they could afford, once you paid for all your auditions, like, what, 400, 500 quid? That's ridiculously out of league for so many families, for so many people. You know, I count myself so lucky. I was in a position where I was in a stable household, like, and I worked a Saturday job, and, you know, I saved up the money for those things, and I was in a position where I could do that, but so many people can't, and that's the start, that's the entry level. As soon as you're out of drama school or wherever you study, whatever you do, you're then exactly asking someone to be able to afford rent and all these like entry levels into doorways. I don't think it should be that to get in the door you pay.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
and the people that make the money don't pay for those things anymore. So it's, you know, I appreciate there are more schemes now to try and encourage people from like different backgrounds and different classes and stuff to access it, but I just don't think it's enough yet. I think theatre is still this thing up on this pedestal where everyone is well spoken and extremely academic, and theatre is only for those that will understand it. And it's this Shakespeare thing all over again, isn't it? It's the cycle of the prestige of theatre, when that's a load of bollocks. Shakespeare was literally about hundreds of people crammed into a space having a good time, and it should still be that.
100%.
You know, I think it should be for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to be entertained. What changes the attitude around theatre, right, is making it accessible for children, because so much of your opinions of anything like that are what you were able to get access to. Did someone take you to a show when you were a kid, or a pantomime, or like pantomimes I think are so great for kids.
We go every year, and we have done since I was little, but my granny would take us, and there was 15, 16 of us in the family, and she would take us to go to the panto. But back then, it was peanuts to go, because that's what it was all about, was going to do that. Then it got to the point where we couldn't all sit in the same area, because it was suddenly like 70 quid at the Wickham Swan to see Greg Greville Horwood as the Wicked Queen, which he was fabulous. But fair enough. He was fabulous if we're going to do it. So you just think, really? And then you just sort of think, okay, well, actually we'll go to let's try and sit further up and out of the way. And then Granny's like, I can't see or hear that if we go that far. Well, we're all going as an enjoyable thing. So it's really... it's a shame. And I do wonder if, sorry, going on a tangent, that once we're set free from this and theatre does start again, are they going to raise the ticket prices up even higher
in order to compensate for everything? Yeah.
And I hope that's not the case, because people, you know, some people's staple is going to the theatre, is going to the cinema.
I know.
Is experiencing the art form in that way. And to encourage people to come back to it, I just hope they're sensible there with their brains.
There's so many things on this list.
We'll get onto it. We're not.
We have been chatting.
Good
gracious.
An hour and 40 minutes.
Oh my word.
5 weeks of a needing
Let's cut there for
the joy of it.
We're gonna cut there for a week.
We'll just keep rolling.
The dedication. What's the first thing that you're gonna do out of lockdown? What would you like to do in terms of, you know, work in this industry? Like the first thing.
Okay, thank
if you
God.
had like an ideal.
I really love working in a team. I really love, like, especially comedy, like getting a group of people together and having people to bounce off. And I think, if I had my wish, I would just love to just get in a room and start working on just something really, really silly or really fun and get some ideas together with people. I have got some things actually lined up.
I was going to say, are you writing? You're writing stuff at the moment, right?
I'm writing stuff at the moment. Yeah, I've got a couple of bits I'm writing. So we'll see. I'm writing all sorts. I've been trying to sort of got a couple of works in the pipeline for a while. Like I'm sort of trying to write things about female serial killers. That's something I really love, but putting comedy in there because I just think blood on people's faces is just gold. God, I'm coming across well.
Masochistic.
But also, I've just been writing, just for the like hell of trying to get myself to write, I've just been writing like a really silly script for my housemates, just to read at the table, where I've been writing characters tailored to them. And they don't know what it's about yet, but currently it's a mixture of a cowboy western, but also there's Professor Indra Florance, who spent 6 months in the jungle, came out crazy, and is developing a ketamine-based stimulant to enhance neural capabilities. And there's going to be a big clash between the mind-reading cowboy and the barmaid, the saucy barmaid he takes along with him. They're going on like an assassination mission, and it's just writing some mad stuff because I think I need to write some mad stuff right now.
Can you bring it to the first class?
I've got quite a lot written.
And then I'll try my best to coach.
There's a great bit where I think like the little sidekick shuffles in and talks about how she like banged her head on a doorknob and passed out for half an hour and woke up, and the professor is like, I don't care, shake the solution.
Wow.
It's all go. I'm also still in some filming for this video game called Not for Broadcast, which is amazing. It's really cool, and you can buy that and download it for your computer. It's like a live news team editing program with
across all platforms.
It's on something called, I think it's called Steam.
Oh yes, I'm
great.
Yeah. So and
I've got a Steam account.
episode 2 just came out, and I'm in it. So
Okay.
yeah, get ready for that. I won't give you any spoilers.
That's super
but
cool.
That's
What's it
cool.
called again?
Not for Broadcast.
Not for Broadcast.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's really cool.
Great.
I'm also meant to be in a show that was like meant to be a year and a half ago,
Sure.
and that's gonna be coming back. That's called Stoned, Stupid and Stuck, and that's gonna have like a few weeks at the Hope Theatre, and that's like a late night psychedelic comedy about like the drug scene in California, but also environmentalism, and it has loads of crazy stuff, and I get to play all these weird side characters like a bear on meth and a valley girl, just all the normal stuff, Yeah, and obviously I'm hopefully running my scratch nights in London, Aunt Flo's Fight Club. That's a little plug in there. So
we'll put the tag in there as well.
Yeah.
stick it in there. So
You've
hopefully.
also got a music page that I'm going to uncover, right?
Got the music.
Yeah.
Yes, I am in production with some music at the moment as
You did a
well.
really good cover of, what are they called? Japanese something.
Oh, the Japanese House. God, I love that band.
Japanese House.
Yes.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, because I have my loop pedal.
You have your loop
I have a
pedal.
loop pedal
Yeah,
page
yeah.
where I do really silly little musical loop pedal covers of things.
Research on social media everywhere.
Good lord. But I'm also in production of like some actual legit music with a good friend of mine who's an exceptional musician. We've been putting together music for like, because of lockdown, it's been like a year or so now of production on just 3 songs with very intense detail on
Great.
these. But when we do release them, we can't name the band.
Okay.
That's so far the biggest cog in the, how do you name a band? It's a nightmare. Anyway, I'm really sorry you asked me what I'm doing, and I've talked a lot.
No, wait. That's the whole point. It's great.
The way the industry works is we're constantly looking for the next thing. We
Yes.
always dismiss the things that are behind us, the things that we've achieved or that we are working on that don't feel like, and because everyone's first question when you say you're an actor is always, oh, what have you been in that I've seen you in?
God, that's
we
the biggest
almost
pet peeve,
we
isn't
almost
it?
I
rule out
hate
all
that
the stuff
question.
we've done as not being, it's not noteworthy for someone that doesn't understand the industry, so it's probably not noteworthy for me.
Yeah.
That's not
so,
true.
Yeah, so you end up sort of disregarding yourself. I remember working in a bar once, and a guy came up to me, and I'm pouring out a pint, badly probably, and he was like, "What do you do, mate?" I was like, "Oh, I work at a bar." He was like, "No, you don't. You don't just work at a bar. What do you do like that?" And I was like,
Run away from scary men.
I pretend to be other people. No, I don't pretend to be anything but myself. I said, I'm an actor, and he was like, I I know you're Sam. Don't ever say that you're just a barman. Like and it's really weird. Like that has stuck with me. Anytime that I've ever gone, oh no, I'm this, I'm that. Like, no, I'm Stephen France and I'm an actor.
Yeah.
Just a proviso, if you are just a barman, live your best life.
God.
Good for you.
I love working in a bar. Lauren, what have you got happening? Anything? Doesn't matter.
Well, Stephen.
Even to work on yourself at this.
Well, yes, I've been
Is
doing a lot of
important.
that. And without going too deep within the depths of the soul, I feel like I'm mentally in a much better place than I was last year.
Great.
I'm actually going back to Austria. Kidding. I would not do that without
Vienna
you.
waits for you.
We'll do a two-person show.
Well, yes, Big Dick Derek and Mrs. Dean on the road again. There we are.
Dick Derek!
Just to say, I wasn't called Derek, was I?
No, I just made it up.
I was just a policeman, and me and Lauren ended up.
You
doing
weren't
this.
just the policeman.
Oh, I wasn't just the policeman. I was.
You're never
I
just
was
the
a
policeman.
photographer that lulled a young girl into a full sense of security and drugged her
Through social media.
Through social media.
And this was behind the scenes, or we're talking about the play?
We had that discussion where Steve said to me, do you ever have that moment when you're in the middle of a show?
Yes.
And you've gone on to autopilot, which let's be honest, that does happen sometimes.
yeah.
In a long
And you're
run,
going,
God.
you're spewing out your lines and your brain's gone, and just looking at you like this, you're up here and you're going, you are 32. You are dressed as a receptionist in an orange wig with glasses that have lenses in,
Great.
in an Australian accent. What are you doing with your life? And then you come out of that. So we'd had this discussion.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Mrs. Dean pacing. Oh, Steve's dressed as a policeman with a stick, and he's banging on a flat backstage. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
And we couldn't get ourselves out of that
Oh God.
mid-scene.
Sometimes,
just in the middle
and
of it.
sometimes it was the most serious scene in the
Oh,
world.
God.
We
Those are the
absolutely got
hardest,
it.
though. Those are the
But-
ones where you can just get the giggles because you know you can't. So they're just suddenly like,
Oh yeah, corpsing all over
But
again.
you know, physically could have been sick from laughter. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love those moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Love those
But,
moments.
great.
But yeah, so you've got
So,
good stuff
yes.
happening.
Well, yeah. Haha, lol. In terms of thespianism, I have finally booked a voice reel in, which I'm very excited about because I
Nice.
wanted to do that. Steve and I had
Yeah,
lots
well,
of
we've had
extensive
numerous
discussions
discussions,
about
yeah.
that in Austria. So I have got that to look forward to very much in
That's great.
April. But in terms, I've been sort of doing other little bits and bobs over the last year or so, but I'm trying to get more into that creative side because that is where things ripple along and tickle away nicely, and it makes me feel better about life if I know that that's going on in the background. But I'm actually going to start, hopefully next week, a job as a COVID vaccination booking officer,
Oh,
Amazing.
great.
which is really cool. 0-hour contract, very excited, and working for the NHS and bringing people up for their vaccines, and I'm
Great stuff.
completely up for that.
Nice.
So I'm
Yeah.
I'm really glad I've got that to come
Yeah.
come up. And then
it-
that's it.
It's something that obviously makes you think outside of the realm in which
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
it's
it
good to have
is.
I
something
think
like
it's
that.
really important, especially like in this profession, I guess self-employment in general, it's like to have a focus elsewhere,
Completely.
to work on something else.
Just
It
to
can
like
be
know
as
the outside world.
Yeah, it can
like,
be as minimal as like, oh, you enjoy running, or like you,
Yeah.
you know, meditation. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or it could be anything. Like my but from my family background, like football was such a massive thing in my family. But like, you can see why they're so impassioned with it, because it's like, it's not only an escape, but like they see it as, it's like an art form. They see it as art, and they're like, you know, I'd work hard so that I can go and, you know,
It's
do that.
yeah. I totally agree with finding energy elsewhere, because it can be completely all-consuming, and I'm sure we've all had those moments where it is the be-all and end-all, but until you find something else that you can harmonise alongside it and run it along with it, everything then starts to fall into place.
Sure, yeah. The
I've
moment it
from-
feels secondary.
Yes.
I feel like I'm in a much better
Yeah.
headspace with it all.
But in your heart, it's not secondary. It's still
Sure.
there,
Yeah.
but
You've got to be
just got
practical.
you've just
Yeah.
got the right balance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a job at the moment is absolutely nothing to be sniffed at.
No,
I
and
think it's
thank you.
incredible to keep
I'm
working.
chuffed because when we were very abruptly brought home in March, I've not worked since March, save for 2 weeks at a Christmas market. That's it.
Wow.
And I had gone from being in a full-time job before that, 9 to 5 in an office,
Wow.
and
Okay.
just the change was so sudden. I was going to do that. I was trying to be nice for Kelsey.
No,
Oh, yeah, we'll do
get
a-
the spit
Yeah.
involved.
We'll get a few sound effects in there. At some
And
point.
Stephen, what have you got coming up, Stephen?
go on then.
Just to
Are you
turn the
hot seating
tables.
me?
Well, we would like to know.
I've been very fortunate with voice work, and it's funny. Like my voice agent was very sort of, instilled the confidence in me and just went, "You should get a home studio. You need to go. You need to do that because
Yeah.
you'll get work from home." And I was like, "Okay." So I didn't even think about it. I just did it. So yeah, my voice stuff. This is obviously been a huge sort of passion project of mine, and then the first thing that I thought of outside of the classes was doing a podcast or doing something that would just get people interested, I guess, and putting a name to a face. If you want to come and join, but yeah, as opposed to just being sort of like not elusive on social media, but just be like, "Hi, this is the person who's hosting the class," type thing.
Yeah.
Come down, have fun, put yourself in the arena. There's literally no judgment here. So I've been working hard at that, and then setting the foundations basically to hopefully, fingers crossed, when we can, get into the workshop setting or like do a class or whatever it is where more people can get involved.
Yep.
It's going to be great. It'd probably get like a bit overwhelming. I imagine like all of us in a room like sort of performing and
It'll be
this, that,
awesome.
and the other, but I imagine it to
Yeah.
be really awesome. So that's what I've got going on.
Good for you,
I didn't
Steve.
sweep
Woo.
everything up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then just going out on walks with mates
Yeah.
and just really just
Yeah.
enjoying
Running.
that. Running. I've been
Running.
running a lot. Been running a lot.
Yeah.
Which has been great. Whether I'll keep that up when lockdown eases is another story.
Stephen, as long as you're friends with me, you will always be a
Oh
runner.
yeah. I feel like
Oh,
you're
no.
absolutely just jabbing
Yeah.
in the back.
No.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's great. My knees are singed. And on that note,
My knees are singed.
we're going to leave it there.
Are they on fire?
I was
Who
going to
knows?
say, first off, thank you so much to you both.
Thank
for-
you so
for-
much for
for-
having us.
It's
been a
great.
delight.
Yeah,
It really
it's been
has.
Really
awesome.
has.
It really has.
It's been awesome. And yeah, this has been episode 2 of the Actors Gym podcast. Follow us on the socials. I'm going to put these episodes out on Spotify, YouTube, all that sort of thing. So yeah, be sure to get involved. Sorry about Helen's ankle.
Oh God, you had to
it
come
happens.
in.
No, it happens. I've got rickety bones myself. But yeah, that's it. On that note, we're done. See you later. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Oh, I wasn't talking to Siri. Right, well done. And for ourselves.
And thanks, team.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you
great
guys
job.
so much.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Let's give ourselves 20 odd
Oh, mate.
mins.
Whoa.